Master Randy Edwards here, and whether you are a prospective new student thinking about joining Fayetteville Martial Arts Academy, or you are a new student at Fayetteville Martial Arts Academy, this video should help a lot. And I'm so happy that you guys are watching and hopefully practicing along with me. The idea of this video is to give you a great orientation into what we do and how we do it. I want you to see a couple things. I want you to see the techniques that we practice as beginner students. It's something you can do. We're not doing backflip, cartwheel, disappear kicks in your first 2 weeks of lessons. And just see that the instructors are disciplined. Yes sir, no sir, all the great stuff from the martial art, but we're very friendly also. So today I'm going to take you through just the basic stuff, some kicks, some blocks, some stances, and just a few other little gems that we're going to help you a lot to become a great beginner student here at Fayetteville Martial Arts Academy. So hang on. All right, everyone. So typically we are entering and leaving that door right there. So we'll come in maybe 10 minutes before class, push it beyond that 10-minute limit, and I feel like I'm babysitting. But about 10 minutes early is okay, right up till class time. But you'll come in, and if you need to put your uniform on, change clothes. We've got 2 restrooms here, changing areas for everyone. And of course, the parents won't stay out in the lobby, but students will come through, and eventually take your shoes off, and socks and shoes go inside that shoe cubby here, because we don't wear shoes on the mat area. See, the shoes touch the outside world, and we don't want to bring that into this place. This is a very, very, very special place. This place is so special, we don't want the dirty shoes touching the workout area. We also, when we step on the workout area, there's always, as a martial artist, a symbol of respect to the area where we train. And all martial arts do this. Karate, Kung Fu, Taekwondo, everybody does the show of respect as they step onto the mats. But number one, they take their shoes off before they get on the training area. But number two, when they step on or off the training area, there is a bow as a symbol of respect to the place where we work out. So as you're entering the workout area, we just stand up tall and just bend over, do a bow, respect. And then if we need to leave the workout area, we just stand on the edge of the mat and we do our respectful bow, and then we're done, we're back out in the lobby, kind of do what we need to do. So anyway, the bow in and the bow out of the workout area is very, very, very special. We do some great things out here. I mean, we're developing world champion athletes. We're doing discipline and respect. There's so many wonderful things that happen out here. We want to treat this as a very special area. And again, that's no shoes on the workout area, and that symbol of respect. So we know when we step onto this mat, we're here to focus. We're here to do our very, very, very best. In class, we say level 10. All right? So speaking of that before class thing, make sure if you need a drink of water, if you need to use the restroom, do that before class. I'll let you use the bathroom during class, but let's try to take care of business before class. All right? All right, very good. So that is our entry into the workout area and leaving the workout area. All right, why are these 2 flags hanging up in our workout areas here at Fayetteville Martial Arts Academy? Well, number one, obviously we're practicing Taekwondo in the greatest country on the planet, the United States. So we're showing honor to the United States by having that flag hung. And then Taekwondo came from South Korea. April 11th, 1955 was when Taekwondo was founded. General Che Hong Hai was known as the founder of Taekwondo, but April 11th, 1955, remember that. But we have the South Korean flag hanging up out of respect to the country, the origin of where Taekwondo came from. Through the practice of Taekwondo as well, we will be learning some Korean history as well. So anyway, that's why the flags are hanging up. All right, the 6 stances that we learn as beginners here at Fayetteville Martial Arts Academy. All right, so the first stance that we do is called a closed stance. Closed like the door is closed. So put your feet all the way together, toes touching, and say closed stance. Great. And when the feet are shoulder width apart, this is called an open stance. Not wider than shoulder width apart, just as wide as your shoulder. So this is an open stance. So say open stance. Now, closed stance, say it with me, and open stance. Very good job. Now, when we're in our open stance and our hands are circled in front of us, this is called ready stance. So say ready stance. Now, I will cover more about the ready stance in just a few minutes, all right? But so far we've done, say it with me, closed stance, open stance, ready stance. Now, the next stance is called a sitting stance, and that's where we're just a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. All 10 toes are straight forward, and the knees are bent and out. In other words, I don't bring my knees forward, and I don't bring the knees in, something like that. The knees push out like this as I'm pushing down on the floor. This is called a sitting stance, also called a horse stance. So you can say, it looks like I'm sitting on a horse, right? All right, so very good. So sitting stance. Now, what we're going to do with the sitting stance is I want to push these knees out and push my weight down on the ground. So I'm very, very, very much heavier here than I am just standing there. And what is power? Well, power is mass times acceleration, so it's how heavy you are times how fast you throw it. But anyway, the stances increase the power of the technique. All right, so this would be a sitting stance, also known as I hope you said a horse stance. Okay, so let's review. Closed stance, stay with me. Open stance, ready stance, and sitting stance, also called a horse stance in class. Okay, so let's go back to our open stance. The next stance is called a walking stance, also called a front stance sometimes in class also. But the walking stance is this. If I take one of my legs and I move it back, notice how I stayed shoulder width apart. I did not come back one foot in front of the other like this. This is the biggest thing that I correct out of all beginners in class is, I say step out with your left leg into a walking stance and step out like this instead of like this, shoulder width apart. Most of our weight is in our upper body, so as humans, we're a little top heavy. So as these stances get longer, they have to be wider to support that upper body weight. But we don't want to be too wide. So anyway, shoulder width apart, and I've taken my left foot forward, right foot back like this, good long stride. And notice how I've got all 10 toes pointed straight forward in this walking stance also. All right, there are some exceptions where we may let the back foot turn out slightly in the walking stance, but we'll work on that class. But let's think about this. In the walking stance, I want everyone to try all 10 toes straight forward and shoulder width apart. So if in class we're in our walking stance and doing some drills and I notice your stance is not wide enough, myself or one of the instructors will say train tracks. And if we say train tracks to you, then we're telling you to get your feet back on the train tracks. Instead of having the feet like on one train track, we want to get shoulder width apart. All right. So in this walking stance, the front knee is bent down, the back leg is locked out straight, all 10 toes are straight forward, and we are shoulder width apart. A great thing to practice is stepping up and stepping back, making sure you're wide. Again, I'll say, all right, now stay shoulder width apart. So we'll step back like this. Shoulder width apart. There's a reason that people want to be like this. This is your walking width. So if you're just kind of moving down like the road like this, you're not going to walk with your feet shoulder width apart. All right. So, but again, as these stances get longer, we have to get wider to support that body weight, so we have a lot of balance, which obviously helps with power. All right. So let's review the stance we've done so far. We've had closed stance, open stance, ready stance, sitting stance, and remember, shoulder width apart. We have walking stance. All right. Now the last stance is called an L stance. It's called an L stance because you'll see my right foot is pointed this way and my left foot is pointed forward, and you see the letter L shape here in the stance. Now in the L stance, you'll notice that my hips are back, kind of centered over the back leg. We should be able to easily pick the front leg up in this L stance. All right. So it's about one shoulder length, and again, the feet are in this L shape. So now I'll go the other direction. I've got my left foot pointed at the camera and my right foot pointed away from there. But you can see the L in the stance and how my weight is centered back over my back leg. It's not in the middle, and I'm not leaning forward, but I am back here. All right, so that's the L stance, sometimes known as a back L stance also. All right, but it's the same stance. All right, so the 6 stances that I want you guys to practice and know are closed stance, open stance, ready stance, sitting stance, walking stance, and L stance. All right, so there are your 6 stances. Practice, practice, practice. All right, as promised, I said I would talk a little bit more about ready stance in just a little bit. Well, here it is. Here's a little bit. Ready stance. There is a Korean term that the instructor will use in class. It's junbi. And when we say junbi, that's a Korean word that means go to ready stance. So when you hear the instructor say junbi, yes sir, your left foot steps out and as you step into your ready stance like this. And notice I said left foot steps out. Left foot steps out. Now I'm facing opposite of the class, so when I say junbi and I want everyone to step with their left leg, I step with my right leg, so they're stepping with their left leg. So you might have noticed that. But the left leg is the one that's supposed to step out to ready stance for everyone. Left leg steps out to ready stance because the left side of the body is known as the control side of the body. The right side of the body is known as the power side of the body. So if every time I hear junbi, I step out to ready stance and I say, yes sir, showing respect to my instructors, or yes ma'am, female instructors ask is saying junbi. You step out to ready stance with that left leg. By stepping with your left leg, you are saying, I will always move with self-control first. If someone calls me a name, I'm not going to call them a name back. If someone punches me in the face, the answer may not be to punch them in the face back. We always want to move with self-control first. Breathe, think. All right, it's very important that we respond instead of react. All right, so by stepping with that left leg, and every time that left leg steps out and we go into ready stance, right there we're thinking, always move with self-control first. And you'll step out with that left leg and go to ready stance several hundred times, just as a white belt. All right, so always reinforcing that left leg stepping out, meaning self-control first. Okay, now in ready stance, there is no wiggling and no moving. When you're in ready stance, the eyes are straight forward. No wiggling, no moving, no scratching. If you got something you need to scratch, don't scratch it. Stay very, very, very still. Not moving in ready stance shows your self-discipline. All right, instructors will put the students into their ready stance and then we'll start teaching. All right, students, we're getting ready to make a great kick. And this kick, I want everybody to focus with the ball of the foot. We're going to kick really hard and we're going to do our very best. All right, ready? And we'll start practice. So it's a way for us to make sure we have everyone's attention. And if someone's you are not focused. So ready stance means we are getting ready to do the move. And I want to really focus first. So when you hear junbi, one, yes sir, yes ma'am. The male instructor says junbi, yes sir. The left foot steps out, you hold that ready stance and do not move. You're explaining the move, and then they'll say, whatever they say they want us to do, all right, ready, go. And we follow the instructions as to what they were telling us to do while we were in our ready stance. It's very important that you don't move in ready stance. It's very important. It shows your focus. It shows your discipline. It will help you a lot not moving in ready stance. All right? So, and I find this to be true. Students that wiggle in ready stance are the same ones that don't know their moves very well also. There's a correlation of moving in ready stance and that lack of discipline in martial arts. All right, we want to take that discipline and make sure we apply that in other areas. But to be our very, very, very best, we've got to focus. And it starts right here in ready stance. All right, and the respect as we step out into ready stance also as well. So anyway, there's your explanation of junbi and the ready stance. All right, moving on with our orientation, we're going to do some hand techniques, some blocks, and some punches. All right, so first I'm going to have you guys make a fist for me. So the fingers come together, thumbs are out, and we roll down once really tight, and we roll down again really tight. Make the thumb go right here under those first two knuckles. There will be other ways I will show you how to hold your hand in punching, but this is one that we start with as a beginner. All right, so what I want you to do is make a sitting stance with me, and take your hands, not your arm, but the hands, and put them all the way back, fingers up, on your floating ribs. And the floating ribs are the ones on the very, very, very bottom. Okay, so down in our sitting stance, we're going to reach out and twist over with both hands at the very end. And then I pull back and I twist them at the very end also. Again, it's not the arm on the side. Make sure the hands are all the way back on the side. So we reach out and twist at the end and pull back, twist at the end. Notice how the elbows are staying in close, and they stay in close to pull back. In other words, the elbows aren't flaring out like this as we're making these punches. So it's out with a twist, back with a twist. Out with a twist, back with a twist. Now we'll do one at a time, and this is where it's just a push-pull. kind of a fulcrum seesaw here. One goes back, the other one goes out. But again, notice how the fingers are up, fingers are up, fingers are up, fingers are up, fingers up till the last second. And of course, this one stays fingers down till the last second where it rolls over. But at the very last second of the punch, you'll see the twisting. The contact point with the punch are these two knuckles, and I want to have that punch directly in the center of the body. So remember, it's not 1, 2, but it is one motion, one motion, one motion for the punches, one motion for the punch, one motion for the punch. All right, so next technique I want to show you, a series of techniques in the sitting stance also. Let's make that fist and the hands back on the side. And with one of your arms, just put it up over your head, and we'll call this high block. So say high block. Notice the high block has an angle, so if something hits, it deflects off. It's not just about blocking, it is about blocking and letting what we're blocking slide off to the side. There will be blocks like this at some point, but initially as a beginner, we learn the high block with a good strong angle, the deflection angle. Reaction arm is back on the side like this. All right, now take that same arm and move it down low and say low block. And then take that same arm and move it out beside you, shoulder level, with the fingers facing back toward you. This is a middle block. And then take that same arm and bring it around in front like this. And that is an inward block. And the last block is I'm going to reach out with both hands on this side of my body, swing around and twist the hands over at the end. This is called a guarding block. All right, so we'll start with the hands back on the side again. And with one over your arms, just go up and say high block, low block, middle block, inward block, and guarding block. Hands back on the side again, high block, low block, middle block, inward block, guarding block. All right, very good. Let's do the same thing with the other hand now. Ready? High block, low block, middle block, inward block, guarding block. Again, same hand. Ready? High block, low block, middle block, inward block, guarding block. Just the basic motions of the basic blocks that we do in class. And that's not exactly how we're going to do those blocks. For example, as we high block, we're going to have both hands over here like this. And we'd step out into our stance, whatever stance we're in, and put the high block up from there. So it's not just one hand's going to stay there. We're just going to be doing work with the other one. Right now, it's just a coordination to get the blocks, just the basic motions of the blocks down. We will work on very specific how to load these blocks, where to chamber them, and exactly where the hands are going to go. That'll be a later video. We'll be working on that in class. All right. But there are your 5 blocks: high block, low block, middle block, inward block, and guarding block. Practice, practice, practice. All right, now the fun stuff, the kicks. Oh, the kicks that we teach in the orientation lesson. All right, we got some basic kicks here that are a lot of fun. All right, so let's start off your kicks in a walking stance. So remember, we're shoulder width apart, all 10 toes straight forward, good long stance as well. So the leg that's behind us, what we're going to do with this one is just going to stretch it up in the air. But that leg that's stretching up in there, we want to keep it straight. And while you're kicking, have your hands up into a good guarding position like this. All right, so in other words, don't let the hands wiggle or drop as you're doing your kick. All right, so the leg stretch is just where we take the back leg and we just stretch it straight up in the air like that. Notice how I did that stretch, my hands stayed up. The hands are not moving as I'm stretching the leg in the air. Many times as I see beginners, they'll bring the leg up and then they'll bend it as the leg goes up higher. Don't do that. Make sure this leg stays very, very, very straight. And that's, you see why we call it a stretch kick, because we're kicking and we're kind of stretching at the same time, right? Because up in the air, up in the air. As you get more stretched out, that kick is definitely going to go higher and higher and higher. Notice as my leg comes down to the ground how I'm not just dropping it. As the leg goes up, I'm using my core muscles to control the leg and exactly where I'm setting that leg down. So you want to practice 10, 15, maybe 20 per side, and that'll give you a really, really, really good warm-up. So we got some with one leg, so let's drop that other leg back behind us in that walking stance and do our stretch kick, and back in the walking stance. Again, watch this. Don't let this foot step down one foot in front of the other. Make sure we are shoulder width apart, all 10 toes straight forward. All right, so it's leg stretch, keeping the hands up. Very good, and leg stretch again. Good, remember legs straight. Don't let those hands drop. And up, and legs straight, up, and one more, up. Excellent job. Now later, when you get a really high leg stretch, this kick will turn into an axe kick where you're dropping the leg down on the target. But with an axe kick, you cannot go straight up and straight down. You got to circle out away from the target, then come around to the target and drop it down on the target. So you can circle and drop it down this way, or you can circle the other direction and drop it down on the target there as well. Okay, so there's your first two kicks: stretch kick and axe kick. The axe is not the one we super need to practice right now. All right, so leg stretch, maybe we want to get down. All right, now the next is called the front kick. Very, very, very simple kick. It's just where you pick your leg up and you kick it out and you pull it back and you set it back down. Very simple, right? A little baby can do this: up, out, back, and down. The things that are really requiring a lot of focus and attention are keeping your hands up when you're doing the kick. It may seem simple, keeping your eyes on the target as you're doing the kick. Maintaining number 2 foot position as you chamber and as you kick and rechamber and back down. Not changing that foot position. There are many different foot positions that we will use, foot shapes that we will use to do the front kick. But as beginners, we work on this one. This is number 2 foot position. We're actually kicking with that ball of the foot. So I kind of kick the ground a few times with the ball of the foot and see if I can maintain that foot shape as I come up, out, back, and down. When I was a white belt, I could not do that. My foot would not maintain that foot shape. But I remember that first time as a yellow belt, I threw that front kick out there and my foot looked like my instructor's foot. My instructor's foot was actually making that proper number 2 foot position, which means I could kick the bag now. I could kick that bag really hard with my front kick and not worry about hurting my foot. All right. Now, another point on the front kick is this. The leg goes up, out, back, and down. It comes up, out, back, and down. That's chamber kick, rechamber. So there's a couple of different ways we'll throw the front kick. One is a snapping style front kick where you snap it out there really fast, but the up, out, back is all one motion. Up, out, back, all one motion. But notice what I'm doing, even though I'm doing this snapping style front kick, I'm holding my leg in the air for a second. There. Then I set the leg back down. Notice also I'm not kicking up here and rechambering down here. It's not up here and then rechamber down here. Where I am kicking to, my knee is staying there on the rechamber. That is working balance, to be able to hold that leg in the air for just a second before I set the leg back down. All right, that is very important that we get that balance. As Taekwondo players, we're known to be really good kickers. So holding that rechamber for a second will also give us the opportunity to kick again without having to lift the leg back up. So again, it's balance, it's strength, and it's being a really great kicker as to why we hold that rechamber in the air for just a second. Now, the second front kick that we will be working on in class is called the lock and hold front kick. And that's where you go, the chamber and the kick is one motion, and then you hold the kick out there for just a second, then you hold the rechamber for a second. So that looks like this. It's one motion, chamber and kick, hold the leg for a second there, then hold here for a second before we set the leg back down. So remember, lock and hold, rechamber and hold. So sometimes in class when we lock and hold, I'll say, when your leg locks out, say it, lock and hold. Lock and hold, rechamber, and then back down. Lock and hold, rechamber, and back down. Now, obviously, you do not want to defend your life by holding your leg out there after you do a kick. Somebody can grab hold of that thing. But we hold that leg out there to build strength and balance. All right? It is very difficult to hold that leg out there for a second. But 1 or 2 times, not that hard. But 20 or 30 times, yeah, you're starting to build some strength here, right? All right, so remember, the 2 types of front kicks. We have the snapping front kick, and we have the lock and hold type front kick. All right? Now, as you're practicing this stuff, and maybe I should have mentioned this a little bit earlier, if you have walls, something maybe you can hang on to practice these kicks, this can help. But don't lean on them as you practice, because then you come away from the wall and you're like, oh, wow, I'm talking about balance. Just barely hang on. That way, balance is really not a consideration right now. You're focusing on the fine details in the kicks, right? And then we can come out here and do this in just a little bit, maybe hanging onto a chair or something like that. That can really help get through all of these kicks today. All right, so there's your front kick. Now the round kick, very similar to the front kick. The front kick does this motion. The round kick, you just turn your body sideways and do this motion. All right, I jokingly say you're going to lay your leg on a table and you're going to clean the table. That would be the round kick. All right, don't be cleaning the table with your leg. Probably not a thing to do, right? All right, now on this particular foot shape or foot position, we're going to point the toes. This will be number one foot position, but the body is sideways and the leg picks up, and you kick it out, pull it back, and set it back down. Same as the front kick. We have the snapping style round kick, and we have the lock and hold style round kick, where if we're going to lock and hold, we're going to hold it for a second, rechamber for a second, and set it back down, or we will snap it out there and hold the rechamber for just a second. All right, same chamber kick rechamber as the front kick, just sideways. And on this one for beginners, we're working just a slightly different foot position for this round kick. Now, there are a lot of different ways to do each one of these kicks. We can front leg round kick, we can back leg turning round kick, we can spin around and round kick, you can jump and do all of these kicks. But as basic students, we're going to do them and we're going to learn them and get them down well. Very basic. Where do I hold my hands? Where are my shoulders? Where are my eyes? What's my breathing supposed to be like? There's a lot of details in each one of these kicks. All right, so we'll work on them as basic techniques, and then when they're solid, then we can turn all these kicks easily into intermediate and advanced techniques. Okay, so the round kick goes one direction, all right, and that is where I'm kicking out, pull back, and back down. See, I'm going that direction. The hook kick goes the opposite direction. All right, so the hook kick is where you lift the leg up, bring it around to the target, and then pull the leg back as you get to the target. All right, so the round kick would go like this, kick it out, pull it back. The hook kick lifts up and pulls back. All right, so we want to get some reps on the right side. We want to get some reps on the left side. A good way to do that is in sets of threes, is to step up and go round kick, step back. Step up and round kick, step back. Notice I'm using my leg that is in front. I'm stepping and lifting that front leg up and making the kick and stepping back. And then step and make the hook kick 3 times. Step and make the hook kick 3 times. All right. Again, lead leg. There's a really bad habit, beginner students that want to pick that back leg up and kind of sling that leg around there. Yes, that is a round kick. But it's a little bit of a lazy habit to kind of start using back leg kicks just yet. The front leg is faster, so we want to train that lead leg for a little while. We'll throw a lot of back leg kicks at some point, but let's make sure these all originate as front leg kicks, please. All right, so let's get some practice on that round kick. All right, now, so we've done the round kick, we've done the hook kick. Now I want to do the side kick. All right, the side kick goes straight down the middle. So with the side kick, as I pick my kick up, notice how my foot is not in front of my body. My foot is over here. So it's almost like as you pick the side kick up, as you chamber the side kick, you want to pull your knee up to your chest. And not literally grab your knee and pull it to your chest, but squeeze that knee back, pull the knee back to the chest so that the kick is chambered on this side of the body. And from there, it angles in and back. Notice the kick goes this direction. It's like the punch we did earlier, how the punch angles in from the side of the body here. Very powerful way to punch. The side kick also angles in this direction also. All right? So with all 3 of the last kicks that we did, the round kick, the hook kick, and the side kick, fairly simple to throw the kicks at a real basic level. The most difficult thing that we do with those 3 kicks as beginners is pivot. And that is the foot that I'm standing on, not the foot I'm kicking with, but the foot I'm standing on, pointing the heel where I'm going to kick. So if my target were right here, I would point that heel where I was going to kick and do the side kick. I would point my heel where I'm going to do the kick and round kick. I would point my heel where I'm going to kick and hook kick. All right, that is the most difficult thing to do. We can stand here and do these kicks all day long without that pivot. I'm telling you, that pivot The pivot gives you more power. The pivot makes your kick longer, and it's just more difficult to do. So again, with the wall thing, where you practice, point the heel that you're standing on toward the target, and then put your foot on the target with those last three kicks, with the round kick, with the hook kick, and the side kick. And I'll give you one little ninja secret here on that to make the pivot easier, because it's very difficult to turn the foot while the whole foot is down on the ground. What I do is I lift my heel, I turn, and I set my heel down. You'll see a little pop as that bottom foot turns around to make that pivot, and that just makes the pivot a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, and obviously a whole lot easier. Okay. All right. So get some practice on these kicks. All right. Pause the video, go back and watch the kicking video again, and go through 15, 20, 30 kicks per leg on each one of these kicks. But remember, we had the stretch kick. We did an axe kick, but no need to practice that one just yet. All right. The front kick, snapping style and lock and hold. We had the round kick. We had the hook kick, and we had knee to chest and the side kick. All right, so there's your kicking video. I look forward to working on these kicks with you guys in class, having a lot of fun, becoming a very, very strong kicker. Thank you for all the practice you're going to do.